So I wish to invite our last presenter for today. She will be talking about ethno-religious conflict in Nigeria and underdevelopment, law to the rescue. She is Sylvia Chika Ifemeje, a professor of laws at Nnamdi Azikiwe University in Awka, Anambra State in Nigeria. So she's a professor of law. We wish to welcome you and I want to listen to your wonderful presentation. I'm going to pull your PowerPoint.
Good evening, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. The topic of my presentation is ethno-religious conflict in Nigeria and underdevelopment, law to the rescue. Incidentally, I would have thought that it would have been more appropriate if I had made my presentation the other time the other Nigerians made their presentation, so that we don't have to keep on overflowing the same issue and the questions would have been taken together. But that notwithstanding, I may have to further look at the problem at stake from a legal perspective and prefer solutions, recommendations on the way forward. Now, Nigeria, in consequence of diverse ethno-religious background, has since independence suffered a lot of conflicts. The conflicts, incidentally, for the past decade has escalated, has skyrocketed, and has now reached an alarming dimension. This could be instances. We could look at the case of Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria, massive IPOB movement for actualization of Biafra, the communal clashes, the Boko Haram insurgency, as I mentioned, Niger Delta militancy, and numerous interethnic crises have unleashed adverse effects on the Nigerian economy and has retarded our economic growth. In consequences of all these conflicts, we find out that many industries in Nigeria have left. They fled for other more stable political countries like Ghana, Uganda, Kenya, and so on, and South Africa, and so on and so forth. And this has all equally has the terrible effect on the economy. Nigeria, in an attempt to curb the Boko Haram insurgency, has sunk billions of naira in fighting the insurgency, and yet we have not succeeded in going there. We are still where we are. As at the time of this presentation, about 8 local governments in Bronx State is being occupied by the insurgents, despite the money we've wasted there. The paper considers the immediate and remote causes of these conflicts and the consequences on our already fragile economy. The paper critically dissects the social problem at stake from a legal perspective and makes a case for more reliance on mediation in resolving this conflict. The paper cites instances in the past where dialoguing was resorted to in solving protracted communal conflicts with huge success. Now, as I said, I won't overflog. I'll just summarize the different conflicts. We look at the ethnic conflicts, we look at the religious conflicts, and I'll go on ahead to discuss the effect of these ethno-religious conflicts in Nigeria as regards underdevelopment, and then the major causes of ethno-religious conflicts in Nigeria, how law could come to the rescue, and recommendations. So let's look at the examination of ethnic conflicts in Nigeria. As I mentioned, communal conflicts have become one of Nigeria's most deadly conflicts. The most negatively impacted states are the Niger Delta, Northwest, Middle Belt, Southeast. Between 1999 and 2013 alone, 11,000 deaths occurred in consequence of 500 communal conflicts. Most of these clashes border on boundary disputes. An upsurge in communal dispute was observed between 2017 and 2019 in Benue State, Ebonyi State, Cross River. Many people were killed, maimed, and internally displaced. Houses were razed down and property destroyed and farmland destroyed. Most of these communal conflicts bordered on communal land disputes. And This led to many people being displaced, many lives destroyed, property destroyed, farmlands destroyed, and most of the time the farmers that fled. This led to low production of economic crops. 2017 and 19 also witnessed a new dimension of communal clash in forms of conflict between Muslim Fulani herders and the Christian farmers in the Middle Belt, Enugu State and Ebonyi, respectively. Recently, the herders have now unleashed havoc virtually in all parts of Nigeria, including the Southwest, as victims of the herders are now being abducted by them. Lastly, but not the least, is the increased agitation of IPOB and MASOB for actualization of the state of Biafra in the Southeast. This has further escalated the already existing communal violence. These people are majorly from the Southeast who believe they are being marginalized. As the previous speaker has mentioned, political appointments, none is given to the people from the Southeast for the simple fact that they did not elect the government in power. And this has increased the agitation for being recognized as independent nation. Now, ethno-religious conflict. Sorry, I think I've jumped something here. Examination of religious conflict in Nigeria. This actually started with in Nigeria in the 80s with the death of Maitasin. In the same decade, our former president, General Ibrahim Babangida, enrolled Nigeria in Organization of Islamic Conference, which sparked off a lot of problems and agitation by the Christians who did not go down well with the Christians. This move aggravated religious tension in Nigeria. And in the same decade, many series of outbreak of crisis between Christian and Muslim in Southwest Kafashan occurred. Now, as if this problem was not enough, in 2009, Nigeria witnessed Boko Haram insurgency. They believed that Western education is evil, especially co-education as system of learning. They also agitated for creation of Islamic State in Nigeria. Boko Haram took a new dimension in 2014 with the abduction of 200 Chibok secondary school girls. This attracted global outcry and condemnation. Boko Haram insurgency has continued, as I said, about 8 local governments in Borno State still being occupied by them. The Nigerian government has sunk billions of naira trying to see how they will curb this problem. Many lives have been lost, many people internally displaced, and many people maimed, many children rendered orphans, and so on and so forth. Now, as the topic, so we are looking at the effect of ethno-religious conflict in Nigeria and underdevelopment. Law to the rescue. As I said earlier, because of these conflicts, ethno-religious conflicts, many industries have left the country, and no new ones are not interested in coming because nobody wants to invest where they will at the end of the day lose a huge sum of money. So, because of that, Nigeria is losing out. We are suffering a lot of underdevelopment, no industries, no employment, and this has taken a serious toll on our economy, and nothing is happening. There's no development, economic development, and it's having the adverse effect on everybody is suffering from that. Now, major causes of ethno-religious conflicts. The first one I will address is religious and ethnic discrimination and neglect at federal states. At the federal level, federal and state level. We find that, as I said, because the president believed that the the people from the east, southeast did not vote him in, he decided not to capture us in all the political appointments. Just 1 or 2 people was selected, and of course this has increased the agitation for Biafran. These are massive IPOB movements for actualization of Biafran nation. Then the same thing is the second point, marginalization of some states has increased the ethnic crisis we have in the country. And the lack of consensus on how to effect necessary reforms in Nigeria in order to move the country forward. People, they have not been able to come to this consensus on way forward. Some people have been suggesting, don't we have a confederation so that these various areas will be independent, while we have the government and the central. And all this, some people would say, okay, there was at a point in time we're almost adopting that when the current president came in and rejected it outrightly, and we are here, we are still where we are. So it's one of the problems why we keep on having ethno-religious conflict in Nigeria. The lack of government policies that will promote national integration. Most of the government policies in Nigeria is one-sided, as the earlier speakers have said, as I've observed. It's one-sided. It has to do with anything that will favor the Muslims, while the Christians are just left like that. If you are not from the north, then there's nothing for you. Then protracted military interference also, I think, is also a factor that has increased this type of conflicts we've been experiencing, because military people are known for force. Everything about them is force. And for a very long time, the military government was in charge in Nigeria, and this legacy has continued, has lingered on, despite the fact that they have handed over the government to the civilians. Then another important reason, major cause of this ethno-religious conflict in Nigeria, is the abandonment of erstwhile traditional methods of social control in Nigeria. Before our colonial masters came in to rule over us, we had this inbuilt traditional method of conflict resolution, which worked out well for us. But as soon as they came in, they felt it was archaic, and it was jettisoned, and they came with their new method. And I'm a lawyer, but I found out that this problem of ethno-religious conflict has defied solution for a very period of time. It's just a recurring decimal, somebody observed. We are still where we are after so many years. And because of that, I'm advocating that it's necessary now that we look inwards and see how we can leave this court litigation, which consumes time. It takes a lot of it. It's more expensive and it's more official. So, but when you talk about these traditional methods of conflict resolution, it involves the traditional rulers, it involves the elders, it involves the chiefs, it involves the religious leaders at the grassroots, and you find out that people have this allegiance they owe to the people, to their traditional rulers. They listen to them. So since we have tried the court litigation in the past, a lot of tribunals have been set up without achieving anything. I'll give the instance of Aguleri-Umuleri dispute, communal dispute, that lasted for a very long period of time. But by the time they resorted to this communal traditional method of dispute resolution, the result was highly magical. And I advocate that we resort more to this, get to the grassroots, involving the traditional rulers to help to see how we solve these frequent communal clashes. Heightened mutual distrust and constant hate speeches between Christian, Muslims, and different ethnic groups. That's another major cause of ethno-religious conflict in Nigeria, especially with the advent of social media. You see all manner of things. One person will just come out and say something that will spark off this hatred. They'll say something about the Igbos say something about Yorubas and Hausas, and there it keeps on igniting the problem and heightening the problem at stake. So I think it's one of the major causes of ethno-religious conflict in Nigeria. Law to the rescue. As I said earlier on, Nigeria has over the years relied on orthodox court litigation system in resolving problems at stake without making any headway because of several factors like high cost of litigation, slowness, complexity of procedure, and alien nature of court litigation. Since the above system has failed us, there is need to re-strategize and explore other methods of alternative dispute resolution, like dialoguing, mediation, arbitration, etc. The paper makes a case for more reliance on grassroots traditional system of conflict resolution, involving traditional rulers, elders, religious leaders in resolving most of these conflicts. The paper cited the protracted land disputes between Aguleri and Umuleri, which was resolved officially in the year 2000. Immediately, traditional system of dispute resolution was resorted to, and lasting peace was restored. Conclusion: it is quite evident from this discourse that ethno-religious conflicts has furthered insecurity, violence, and has succeeded in driving Nigeria into further poverty and the underdevelopment. The paper advocates more reliance on traditional conflict resolution in resolving ethno-religious conflicts in Nigeria. Recommendations. Firstly, grassroots community-based traditional system of conflict resolution should be heavily relied on in Nigeria in resolving religious conflicts in Nigeria. Mediation instead of orthodox court litigation is a better option in resolving the problem at stake. Equity and transparency should be the watchword by our leaders. When you are there, you know you are there for all. Somebody asked a question the other time, if the president is a president for just a particular group of people or for the whole of the country. So that question is very pertinent. The president should be the president for everybody, not just for his people from the north. He should be the president and carry everybody along. Equity should be the watchword, and transparency. We're all Nigerians. If we want to continue to be continue as a one nation, everybody must be carried along. Otherwise, there's bound to be agitation, as is happening now. Then proper awareness of the numerous advantages of ADR is advocated. Many people are not aware of the importance and advantages of mediation, how this mediation could solve many problems we're encountering today. So there's need for public awareness of the numerous advantages of ADR. The ADR should be introduced in our school curriculum. By introducing it in the school curriculum, the students to be at that level begin to know the importance of dialoguing instead of always resorting to direct conflict, confrontation. Corruption by government officials should be curbed. There's massive corruption by government leaders, and I believe that if that is addressed, it will help to solve the underdevelopment we are going through right now in Nigeria. Thank you so much for listening.